Hey addicts, welcome back. We're here for Danmachi, episode 8, titled Bel Cronel the Fool. I'm super hyped to talk about this episode. Unfortunately, Michael is still MIA. I haven't heard anything from him, so hopefully he's doing alright. But man, am I so disappointed he is not here. But luckily, I am not disappointed in this episode, which if you watched the previous episode review, that one got a little heated. But again, you know, I gave credit where credit's due. And I think even though I do have some, like, I don't want to say gripes, but maybe it's more so just nitpicking that I could have done without or whatever. By far, what a turnaround from the last episode. This was a great episode, so let's just dive in on talking about it. At the very start of the episode, we do get to see Dix again. This does have, I feel like, some sort of inconsistency, but it's not inconsistency in that it just came out of the blue. I think it was just that because of some of the mishandling of the previous episode, it didn't really showcase the state Dix was in at the very end, so that might come a little bit jarring to some. Because I'm book reader and I have that knowledge, it makes sense to me because of the material, but I think just from the last episode, there wasn't that great of showing how he would be in this state. But needless to say about that, it gives us a wonderful start to the episode, seeing Asteros laying the final finishing blow on Dix, which is really cool. The only gripe I have really about that is, just judging from this, because even though I mentioned that little bit of quote-unquote inconsistency, I mark that up as just, again, another fault to the previous episode, and not this one. So really the only part I really have a gripe with that is that we don't see actually Asteros cutting Dix in half, which they do a couple times later on in the later in this episode, but overall really dig that because it gives the episode a really strong starter. Then after that we get kind of right into the action with leaving off where Bel is at, protecting Ween, standing in here, and it is a small little, it's not small, but I love that they still kind of showcase kind of how Bel is able to quote-unquote fake out, Loki Familia from just utterly wrecking him to get to Ween, right? And that being that, he's kind of laid claim to Ween as like his catch or his like trophy kill, which they're kind of like thrown back at because it's like, well, why would we think that would work in this scenario? Because that's like a good dungeon thing, and this is a completely different scenario. So I like how they showcase that, but they're, they got other things that they're kind of bringing pulling their attention, so they're not able to deal with Bel and Ween just yet. So you do get to see Ween run off and Bel chasing after her, but we stay in the moment or in the scene where the other Xenos come in, and this leads to some great fighting. Now, I think overall, not only did I think the animation on the animation side was better, with better transitions, and I think just having more of a flow to it than in the last episode. But I do think as well it did just a better job of showcasing kind of the skill on both sides, or maybe the lack thereof. I guess, or it's not technically a lack of skill in this first part as it is a power difference, right? So I think with the other Xenos fighting, you get to see, especially like with Leto and Gross and like, some of the other like smaller ones like the Goblin, they're still have like a pretty good combat prowess, and that's only really the only reason why they're able to hold as long as they did with the fight against Loki Familia. But showcasing, the power level is just so ridiculous. And I think, they even have like a line in there from Leto that, they fight a lot better than any other adventure they've gone up to, which again is like just an overall, I think, better showcasing and adaptation of that fight from the book. And I think, to me, it's kind of ironic, and I think it's probably just coincidence, but I love how the animation is like on point when it's showcasing the Loki Familia. Like, I don't know, it seems like it's a bias because like we haven't seen that with the Bel scene since like season 1, but needless to say, I'm really glad that the fight was very pleasing, very enjoyable to watch, and I think this is one that's going to be, a prime candidate for rewatching for sure. Now you also get to see Fells activating his golem, which again is another great part from Volume 10 that's just hilarious. Because it's supposed to be this really big like trump card that Fells has to get them out of this situation, and we just see it absolutely get wrecked. From like one hit from, is it Tioni or Tiona? I think it's Tioni, right? So, that's great. I love the way that they animated, Fells in that moment. It's just priceless. The golem looks a little bit smaller than I thought. I thought it was like towering, like even bigger than the buildings, which I thought gave it even that much more of like an oh crap moment because of, again, showing the scale of power difference that the Loki Familia has. But I'm kind of glad that they didn't do that, because in my mind in the book, I was thinking that Eyes was the one that landed the blow, and that was just misremembering because the way it was shown throughout the episode was like, oh yeah, that's right, it was one of the other ones. So I'm actually glad that the golem was like the size it was, because it makes everything fit more in line for like the power levels, keeping them consistent when we see the fight with Asteros joining. Which, speaking of, we do get to see Asteros coming in, but not before we get the nice gesture, I guess, from Hermes of saving Fells, in a sense, from getting caught in this moment, and more so misdirecting it towards the Ichlos god, not the Familia. Sorry, I was like, I was about to mix up my words, and I was like, oh, I better save that. So yeah, putting the blame on Ichlos, and this is kind of a front, as we will see in the next couple of episodes. I won't spoil anything more than that. But all I can say is, Hermie, you ass. The amount of hatred I have for Hermes after this arc is just through the roof, and I think they're sowing the seeds for that really well, and something that a lot of people probably won't see coming. Again, I'm sorry if I'm alluding that a little bit more to where now you'll piece it together if you didn't know that. That's something that I just have to highlight, because it's I think most of us here read the books, but again, sorry if you didn't know that, and it probably gave too much away. But if you're a fan of the channel, you'll probably know anyway. But needless to say, we do get Asteros, and this fight was great. And it's probably one of the reasons why this episode, I'll have to go back, but I'm pretty sure it will be one of my favorite episodes of the series, at least of the anime that we've gotten so far, right? So, showcasing the little bit of fight between Asteros and the rest of like still the A-team, but not like, like Eyes or Braver, or Rivera, right? So you get to see like, like Beats, Tiona. Did I say that twice? Well, you get it, right? That part of the fight, really well. Again, I think the animation was just a little bit more on point with not only translating the prowess and like the combat ability of all of the characters that were involved in the fight, but also just, again, giving that extra bit of polish I think the other fight needed from the other episode, and really fleshing out that to where it not only made sense, but also visually just looked good, right? Or looked a lot better than like what we had seen like the last season and so forth. But I won't spend too much time on that, because again, that's more of a subjective thing. I know there's some people that, if you're one that loved the last episode, I think this episode will even be better. Like, it'll probably fit exactly how it was supposed to. For me, because of some of the elements, like I probably mentioned in like the comments if you guys read any of that, but because some things from the last episode didn't quite hit for me, there is, again, like that enjoyment level that's not as high as it could have been if I did enjoy it. But I think still, this episode was just handled so much better that I love these scenes a lot. Now, you do get the Asteros versus Eyes, which dig it too. There's, again, I'm gonna like be reiterating basically the same point, I guess, but just seeing Eyes in a fight. I think this is the first time we've really seen, maybe outside of when she goes up against the the Udeus or whatever, the skeleton floor boss, probably in like, what is it, this season 1 of Sword Oratoria. This is like the first time we've really seen, I guess, Aiz get in a serious fight where there's a little bit of stakes even on her part. And I really dig that they showed that, you know, even though like her power level is probably higher than Astros at this point, at least with her Tempest ability, Astros is able not only to hold his own, but even land some hits on Aiz. And I think that, again, is something that I wish they would have showcased with Astros versus the lot of numbers in the dungeon, because I think it adds to, you know, that threat and intensity level Astros has. But I think they're able to showcase the same type of thing, right, with this fight, and I think it's done the way it's supposed to be done. And just a funny little note that I throw in here, but I thought it was great that this is really like the most lines we see from Aiz in like the whole series. So it's like, damn, Aiz is really opening up, when in fact she's only spoken like, what, 5 lines? So yeah, you know, it's a funny little thing. But this arc definitely, for all you Aiz fans, definitely get to see a little bit more of her, I guess, personality come through. Not really, but you know, you get to see her talk at least more, which I'm curious to see. Sorry, not to interrupt the flow of the video, but if you are a diehard Aiz fan, I can't share your sentiment, but I am really curious to know, just so far from what you've seen, from like the wedges they're seeming to place between certain characters, what is your impression of Aiz? Is it still the same as it ever been? Do you love her? Do you like understand where she's coming from? Do you support her in her actions? Or are you starting to see maybe a different side that you're not liking as much? I'm just curious, and I would love to see fans of Aiz comment down below. But with this, we also get this is one that, again, could have easily been cut in the episode, but for some reason the studio was on point the days that they were putting this episode together, and they included a scene that, again, could have easily been cut out, but they left in here, and I love that they did, and that is the small little moment we get between Freya and Otter. And I think this is one that, again, it's like an oh my gosh moment, because even though it's like small, it connects back to material that was so far, previous, where it connects to a certain fight, I guess you could say, in season 1, that's going to foreshadow another fight that's going to connect those two moments. And I love that they kept that in there. And also, I think it's a great thing that we haven't seen even in the books connect back to, but I love the possibilities of seeing Otter acknowledge this possibility and what that might mean for an interaction with him later on too. Even though that's purely speculation on my part, I do love that it's in there. And again, I think it's important for connecting those moments. There's a lot of things I think that are just nice payoffs from season 1 that we saw. Again, there is connection that was seeded in season 2 as well, but I think this is, between seasons 1 and 3, this is where you get to see a lot of things coming together cohesively that is just really enjoyable to see come to fruition. But again, you have Hermes helping with his mischievous other motivations here, but helping Astros and the rest of the Xenos escape from the clutches of Loki Familia. And then you get the return on the emphasis of Ween going through the city and Bell chasing after her, which again is another huge element in book 10 that is intense. There's a lot of emotional weight hanging down on this scene in this part of the book. And I think, they left the division of time in this episode is done really well too, because at this point, I think we have like 11 or 10 minutes left of the episode. And I think that's like, just enough where it gives you a bit of a breather, but it's not so short that we're having to, get through all of these points in a matter of like almost seconds. Obviously like a bundle of seconds, but to where it's able to breathe enough, but also see the end result of things. But all of this part is, it's loaded with little things that I think, again, they could have cut, but I appreciate that they left in there. Like, when Ween's going through the city, there's obviously other adventurers, other townspeople trying to shoot at Ween, trying to kill her because, they don't know what kind of damage she's going to cause. And Belle actually saving her from some of these attacks by, even shooting on some of the adventurers in town, which I think they've already set up the ramifications of what that means. But I think, in the next 4 episodes, we'll really see that those consequences to those actions play out. But I love that they showed those little moments. We get the big with seeing Gran. Is that his name? I always forget this dude's name. He's the second in command to Dix, but part of the Icarus Familia, killing Ween, which is such a heart-wrenching moment. It's one that is probably the saddest moment in the books, at least so far, and it's one of those just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that happened. So really done well. We actually get to the resolution of this too, but before I go on to that, I just want to say that again, with the beginning of the episode, not seeing Dix get cut in half by Asteros, it's one of those things. Again, it's not a big thing, but it takes like the same amount of time, so I don't know why some studios just don't show the violence or the gore. I don't understand. I think sometimes seeing it has, just as much, if not more, impact. And I don't know. I think overall it just gives your show, I don't know. It gives it a better air. So like, you're not trying to like hide things for certain viewers or whatever you want to say about it. I don't know. I kind of butchered that wording. But if you feel me, I think you can understand my frustration in that. So again, when Gross kills Gran, something that like, I thought this one was more comical because at least in the way that it's shown in the beginning part with Asteros and Dix, it's done in a way where I think it's almost more ominous. Whereas in this one, it's almost kind of cheesy, corny, where even the animation looks a little wonky. But again, just a small little thing. But that was one where I was like, what? Okay. But we get back into the moment that really matters with Ween dying. And again, this is done really well. The only thing that I really have a gripe on is I think the music was a tad bit much. Like at least maybe, because it was softer, but then when it got really loud, I was like, maybe, I don't know if that would have been great. Maybe some just instrumental music maybe would have done more. I don't know. I'm picking the scene apart because I like, seeing how episodes are structured or like the behind the scenes on how people make things. So I don't know if that it was. But again, like I think that scene is very emotional, seeing the last kind of moments that Ween has alive. And then seeing Belle just break down and like the thought of, at least in his mind, that he wasn't able to save her. But then seeing Fel step in, and we get the iconic scene that's illustrated in book 10 with Fel's using his special magic that, again, I love how they, drop in this little hint, but that it's never worked. In his history of having this magic, it's never worked. And in this moment, it does. And it's resurrection magic that brings back Ween, and, leaves for a very touching and like, oh my gosh, thank God they did, it's not over. So again, really done well. And I love that the way this is the part of the episode that I think could have easily ruined the moment if they edited or just cut away or, left off the episode a certain way. So I really appreciate the way they did it, where Ween is resurrected and Belle is embracing her, and then it cuts to the credits. We see the ending, the ending song play, and then we get a few more minutes. Which, if you guys didn't know there was more after that, go back and watch it because it is important, or at least it's a good little addition. But when they cut away from that, I was like, okay, I'm really pleased with how they ended that. Still want the speech from Fels though, because I think that is it has such an impact on, you know, how Bell is processing things and how he kind of gets over his own, not necessarily regret, but just almost beating himself up, right? And they do introduce that, you know, in a scene after the credits roll. And I think it may not be, I don't know, I'd have to go back and read the book to see if they changed a lot of the speech. But I think they still did it really well in the episode, and I'm glad it was there because it would have been a little weird to see it at the beginning of the next episode. And as well as a moment of Aina, which, or Ina, I think is... I always get it mixed up. I've heard them say it right, and now I don't remember the right way or my wrong way. But needless to say, we do see a scene with her, which I don't really care about that character as much, you know, really at all. But I think it is, you know, still a little thing in there that, again, showcases those consequences to his actions and how, you know, he does have people that's going to stand by him no matter what. So that is a little bit in that scene that I do appreciate. But guys, this is probably the longest episode video we've done, so apologies for that, because I don't know how many people will stick around for that. But really loved the episode. I think, again, I would have to go back and rewatch some of the episodes from season 1, because I think season 1 probably has a couple episodes that would stand out in my mind as like easily top 5 in the whole series. But I think this one, probably just because of the material surrounding it and how well I did end up enjoying it on the first watch, would be my favorite episode of the series. Again, don't hold me to that yet, because I would like to go back and look before I fully decide. But this was one that, again, I think is a standout in the season, and it does give me hope that the very important, probably like it would be like the last episode, is going to be on the same par, if not better. I'm a little worried though because of the last episode, but I think this one gave me my hope back again. So I can't wait to see how they're going to handle and you know, see the scenes come to life from book 11 source material. But anyway, guys, that'll conclude this. I'll see you next time. If I can get a hold of Michael, maybe we'll be back to do some discussions. I don't know. He's really running down the clock because we have volume 15 dropping in just a few days. So, you know, hopefully, you know, everything will work out, but we'll see. Anyway, guys, I'll see you guys next time. And as always, peace addicts. Catch you later.